We should have known it was too easy. The flight back from Oregon was smooth, too smooth. Marcus held the box on his lap like it contained gold. In a way, it did. Our freedom, wrapped in manila folders and old photographs. I watched him through the plane window's reflection, the way his jaw was set, the determination in his eyes. He looked like a man who'd finally found his purpose. He looked like a man who was about to win. That should have been my first warning. Because men like Richard Castellano don't let you win. We landed just after sunset. Marcus's driver was waiting, a man named James who'd been with the family for years. Loyal, trustworthy, or so we thought. "Welcome back, Mr. Harrington, Mrs. Harrington," James said, loading our bags. His smile was the same as always, professional, warm even. I didn't notice the way his eyes lingered on the box. I didn't notice the way he texted someone as we pulled away from the airport. I didn't notice anything was wrong until we weren't. Going home. "James," Marcus leaned forward, "you missed the turn." "No, sir. Following different instructions tonight." Marcus's voice went cold. "What instructions?" "Mr. Castellano's instructions, sir." The doors locked with an audible click, and I realized we'd just been taken. The car drove for 20 minutes while Marcus tried everything. The door handles didn't work. The windows wouldn't open. His phone had no signal. James must have activated a jammer. We were trapped. "James, whatever Richard is paying you, I'll triple it," Marcus said, his voice controlled despite the fear I could feel radiating from him. "It's not about money, Mr. Harrington." James met his eyes in the rearview mirror. "It's about loyalty. Mr. Castellano helped my family when no one else would. He owns me. He owns a lot of people." "So you're just going to deliver us to him? Let him do whatever he wants?" "I'm going to follow orders, same as always." The car pulled up to a warehouse. Old, abandoned, the kind of place where bad things happen and nobody hears you scream. Richard was waiting outside, flanked by two men the size of buildings. The doors unlocked. "Out," James said simply. Marcus grabbed my hand. "Stay close to me, no matter what happens. Stay close." We got out of the car. Richard smiled that terrible smile. "Marcus, Ava, so glad you could join me. I hope the flight from Oregon was pleasant." So he'd known. All along, he'd known. "You followed us," Marcus said. "I've been following you for weeks. Did you really think I'd leave anything to chance? I know every move you make, every person you talk to, every secret you think you've uncovered." Richard's eyes dropped to the box Marcus was still holding. "Including that one. You're not getting this." "Oh, Marcus, I already have it." Richard gestured to one of his men. "Take the box." The man moved forward. Marcus stepped back, shielding me and the evidence. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," Richard said pleasantly. "Give me the box, and we can have a civilized conversation about your future." "Refuse," and he shrugged. "Well, accidents happen, especially to young wives who get involved in things they don't understand." The threat was clear. Marcus's hand tightened on mine. Then slowly he held out the box. "Smart boy." Richard took it, opened it, flipped through the contents with barely a glance. Then he closed it and handed it to one of his men. "Burn it." "No." I lurched forward, but Marcus held me back. Richard watched the man walk away with our evidence, our freedom, our future. "Did you really think my ex-wife would be my downfall?" Richard laughed. "I've known where Rebecca was for 5 years. Your father wasn't as clever as he thought. I let her stay hidden because it was convenient. because it gave your father the illusion of leverage. But I always knew exactly where to find her. You let her collect evidence against you? Marcus asked. I let her think she was collecting evidence. Everything in that box, already documented, already explained away. Rebecca's testimony would be dismissed as the bitter rantings of an ex-wife with an axe to grind. The documents, circumstantial at best. The recordings, inadmissible. Richard stepped closer. Did you really think I'd leave loose ends, Marcus? I've been planning this for 15 years. You're not going to unravel it in a few weeks. My heart sank. It had all been for nothing. Oregon, Rebecca, the evidence, all of it. We were right back where we started. No, worse than where we started, because now Richard knew we were fighting back. Here's what's going to happen, Richard said, circling us like a predator. You're going to go home, you're going to stop this adorable little investigation, and you're going to start fulfilling your obligations under our contract. Go to hell, Marcus said. Richard backhanded him across the face. I screamed, tried to get to Marcus. One of Richard's men grabbed me, holding me back. Marcus straightened slowly, blood at the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were defiant. That all you got? Richard hit him again, harder this time. Stop it! I was fighting against the man holding me. Leave him alone. Why? Richard turned to me. Are you going to stop me, little Ava? Are you going to protect your husband? Yes, I said. Yes, I will. Something in my voice made Richard pause. He studied me with new interest. You actually care about him. How unexpected. He tilted his head. Tell me, Ava, what would you do to keep Marcus safe? What would you sacrifice? Anything, I said without hesitation. Ava, don't, Marcus started. Anything, I repeated, looking Richard dead in the eye. Whatever you want, just leave him alone. Richard smiled slowly. Dangerous words, Mrs. Harrington, because what I want is very specific. He pulled out a document, handed it to me. I read it with growing horror. It was a new contract, one that amended the original. It stated that Ava Harrington agreed to fulfill all obligations under the Castellano-Harrington arrangement, including the production of an heir, with the additional clause that Marcus Harrington would have no legal claim to said heir upon birth. Sign this, Richard said, and I'll leave Marcus alone. He can keep his company, his house, his freedom. All I want is the heir your marriage will produce. One child, that's all. That's all. I looked at him in disbelief. You want me to have a child and then just give it to you? Not give. Share custody, as the original contract stated, but Marcus loses all parental rights. The child belongs to me and you. Marcus becomes irrelevant. That's insane. That's survival. Richard's voice turned hard. You have a choice, Ava. Sign this, provide the heir, and Marcus gets to keep his life. Or refuse, and I'll destroy everything. The company, the house, and eventually, Marcus himself. Men have accidents, you know. Tragic, but common. He was threatening to kill Marcus. I looked at Marcus. His face was bloody, his eyes desperate. Don't sign it, he said hoarsely. Ava, please, don't give him what he wants. But I'm not worth it. I'm not worth trading your freedom for. I'm not. You are, I interrupted. Tears were streaming down my face. You are worth it, Marcus. You're worth everything. I reached for the pen Richard was holding out. Ava, no. Marcus was fighting against the man holding him now. Don't do this. Don't sacrifice yourself for me. Why not? I looked at him, really looked at him. You've been sacrificing yourself for everyone else your entire life. You sacrificed Sophia. You sacrificed Emma. You sacrificed every chance at happiness you ever had because you thought it would protect people. Well, now it's my turn. Now I get to protect you. Not like this. Please, not like this. I love you, I said. The words hung in the air. Marcus stopped fighting, stopped breathing. I love you, I repeated. I don't know when it started. Maybe on that plane, maybe before, maybe the moment you stood at that window and admitted you were lonely too. But I love you, Marcus Harrington, and I'm not going to let Richard take you from me. I signed the contract. The moment my signature dried on the page, everything changed. Richard smiled. The men released us, and suddenly we were free to go, just like that. Congratulations, Richard said. You have 6 months to conceive. I'll be checking in regularly to monitor progress. Don't try to run. Don't try to fight. You signed a legal contract. You're mine now. He said it, looking at me. Not Marcus, me, because that's what I'd become. Richard's property, the vessel for an heir he'd manipulated two people into creating. Marcus grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the car. James was gone, fled probably, now that his job was done, but the keys were in the ignition. We drove in silence. Marcus's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Blood still dripped from his split lip. His breathing was harsh, controlled, like he was holding back a scream. Say something, I finally whispered. What do you want me to say? His voice cracked. That you shouldn't have done it, that I'm not worth what you just traded away, that watching you sign your freedom over to that monster is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I did it to save you. I didn't want to be saved. Not like that. Never like that. He pulled the car over abruptly. We were somewhere between the warehouse and home. Nowhere. Everywhere. He turned to look at me, and the anguish in his eyes nearly broke me. You said you loved me. I do. Then why would you hurt me like this? I blinked. Hurt you? I saved you. You became exactly what I've spent my whole life trying to prevent. Another person destroyed by my family's curse, another person trapped, another Sophia, another Emma. His voice broke. Don't you see? You were supposed to be different. You were supposed to be the one who got away, who got free, who proved that knowing me didn't have to mean being destroyed. I'm not destroyed. Not yet. But you will be. Because of that contract you signed, it doesn't just obligate you to have a child. It makes you Richard's to control. Forever. And when you finally realize what you've done, when you finally understand what you've given up, you'll hate me for it. I could never hate you. You will. He turned away. Everyone does, eventually. We got home as dawn was breaking. Clara took one look at us and knew something terrible had happened. She helped me clean Marcus's face while he sat silent and wooden, not speaking, barely breathing. What can I do? Clara asked quietly. Nothing, Marcus said. There's nothing anyone can do. We've lost. He went to his study and closed the door. I heard the lock click. Clara put her hand on my shoulder. Give him time. He's processing. He hates me. No, dear. He hates himself. That's different. I spent the day in the library, staring at books without reading them, trying to understand how we'd gone from having hope in Oregon to having nothing in a warehouse in less than 24 hours. Richard had been ahead of us the whole time. We never had a chance. The evidence was burned. Rebecca couldn't testify. The contract was signed. In 6 months, I'd be expected to, I couldn't even think about it. Having a child with Marcus should have been something beautiful, something chosen, something done out of love. Instead, it was an obligation, a transaction, another signature on another contract. Everything between us was poisoned now. 3 days passed. Marcus barely left his study. Clara brought him meals he didn't eat. I'd stand outside his door sometimes, just listening, trying to tell if he was all right. Mostly, there was silence. Once, I heard breaking glass. Once, I heard him crying. I never knocked. What would I say? That I was sorry? That I'd do it again? That I loved him? All of those things were true, and none of them would help. On the fourth day, Clara came to me with news. Someone's here to see you. A woman, she says her name is Sophia. Sophia looked terrible, thinner than when I'd seen her at the benefit. Dark circles under her eyes, a bruise on her arm she tried to hide. How did you get away from Richard? I asked immediately. He let me go. She sat down heavily. He doesn't need me anymore, not now that you've signed his contract. You know about that? Everyone knows. Richard's been celebrating, telling his people he's won, that the Harrington heir is guaranteed now and there's nothing Marcus can do about it. She looked at me with something like pity. I'm sorry, Ava. I tried to warn you. I tried to help. But Richard's always 3 steps ahead. Then why are you here? She pulled out an envelope. Another one. I was starting to hate envelopes because there might still be a way out, but it's risky. And it requires something neither of you wants to do. What? You have to make Richard think he's won. You have to go through with it. The pregnancy, the child, everything. She held up a hand before I could protest. But here's the thing. Richard's contract gives him custody rights, but it doesn't specify what happens if something goes wrong, if there are complications, if the child is born with issues that make them unsuitable for Richard's plans. I felt sick. You're suggesting what? Hurt my own child? No. God, no. Sophia looked horrified. I'm suggesting you don't have Marcus's child. I stared at her. What? IVF, artificial insemination, whatever. You use a donor, someone anonymous. You get pregnant through medical means, never tell Richard how it was done, and the child you produce isn't actually Marcus's. She leaned forward. The original contract specifies a Harrington heir. If the child isn't genetically Marcus's, the contract is void. But Richard won't know to test for that unless you give him a reason to. Suspect. My mind was reeling. That's insane. It's survival. It's the same thing your husband has been doing his whole life, playing along while finding the angles. Sophia's eyes were intense. This is your angle, Ava. The one way to give Richard what he thinks he wants while actually giving him nothing. Why are you helping us? Really? She was quiet for a moment. Because I loved Marcus once, and I lost him, lost our daughter, lost everything because I was too scared to fight back. But you? She smiled sadly. You're braver than I was. You signed that contract to save him. That's not a weakness. That's love. And maybe if you two can find a way out of this, it means what happened to Emma wasn't meaningless. It means something good can still come from all this pain. She stood to leave. Wait, I said. Does this actually work? Legally? I'm not a lawyer, but I know Richard's contract inside and out. I helped him write parts of it years ago when he was first extorting Marcus's father. The bloodline clause is specific. If the child isn't a Harrington by blood, the whole thing collapses. But we'd still have a child who'd grow up knowing they were conceived to cheat a contract, or a child who'd grow up free, loved by two people who chose each other despite everything, a child who'd never be owned by Richard Castellano. Sophia touched my shoulder. That's not nothing, Ava. She left, and I sat there with an envelope full of clinic recommendations and an impossible choice. I went to Marcus's that night, didn't knock, just used the key Clara had given me and walked in. He was at his desk, surrounded by papers, his father's journal, the burned evidence, everything we'd lost. He looked up when I entered. Ava, we need to talk. I know, I'm sorry. I've been hiding, and that's not fair to you. You signed that contract to protect me, and I've been acting like a child, and Sophia came to see me. That stopped him. What? I told him everything. The plan, the loophole, the choice. When I finished, Marcus was very still. That's deception, he said finally. Yes, that's manipulation, using an innocent child as a weapon against Richard. Yes, that's exactly the kind of thing my father would have done. I know. He looked at me. Are you asking my permission? No, I'm asking what you think. I'm asking if you can live with this. If we can build a life on this kind of lie. Marcus stood and crossed to the window. His usual spot. His prison. I've spent my entire life trying not to be my father. Trying to be honest, moral, good. He laughed bitterly. And where has it gotten me? Everyone I love gets hurt. Everyone I try to protect gets destroyed. Maybe it's time to stop playing by rules no one else follows. Marcus, but here's the thing. He turned to face me. If we do this, we're not just lying to Richard. We're creating a child who'll grow up with this secret hanging over them. A child who'll wonder why we did it this way. Why do they exist? Or a child who'll grow up free, loved, safe from people like Richard. I moved closer to him. I can't promise this is the right choice, but I can promise that whatever we decide together. No more sacrificing ourselves alone. No more carrying everything solo. Partners, he said quietly. More than partners. I reached for his hand. I meant what I said in that warehouse. I love you, Marcus. And I don't know if this plan is brave or cowardly or somewhere in between. But I know I want to find out with you. He pulled me close, wrapped his arms around me like I was the only solid thing in a tilting world. I love you too, he whispered into my hair. I've loved you for weeks, maybe longer, and it terrifies me because everyone I love leaves. Everyone I love gets hurt. Then let's break that pattern. Together. He pulled back just enough to look at me. His eyes were red but clear. Determined. If we do this, we do it right. The child will be loved, wanted, protected. Not just a strategy, not just a weapon. A person who deserves better than we had. Agreed. And when this is over, when Richard's gone and we're free, we tell them the truth. All of it. They deserve to know where they came from. Okay. He touched my face, that gesture I'd come to cherish. Are you sure about this? Really sure? Because once we start, we can't go back. I thought about everything that had brought us here. The contract I'd signed to save my father. The months of loneliness, the night I found Marcus at the window, Sophia and Emma, Rebecca and the burned evidence. Every choice that led to this moment. I'm sure, I said. Are you? I'm terrified, but yes. Then let's do it. He kissed me then, Finally, properly, not the almost kiss from the plane, not a performance for cameras, just us, Marcus and Ava, two broken people trying to save each other from the wreckage of other people's choices. His lips were soft, desperate, asking questions I answered with my whole heart. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathless. "We have 6 months," Marcus said. "6 months to pull this off without Richard suspecting. Then we'd better start planning." He smiled. Actually smiled. The first real smile I'd seen in days. "You know what the ironic part is?" "What?" "I finally noticed you. Really noticed you. Saw you for who you are. Fell in love with you." His voice turned sad. "And it's too late. We can't have what normal couples have. We can't build something real because we're too busy building something fake." "Who says it has to be fake?" "Ava, the baby might not be yours genetically, but everything else, the life we build, the love we share, that's real, Marcus. That's ours. And Richard can't touch it." He looked at me like I'd just given him something precious, something he never expected to have. "How do you do that?" he asked quietly. "Do what?" "Find hope in impossible places. Find light in all this darkness." "I learned it from you," I said. "You've been carrying everyone else's darkness for so long, you forgot you have light too. I'm just reminding you." He pulled me close again, and we stood there, in his study, in the house that was our prison, holding each other while we planned how to cheat the man who'd stolen our future. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't beautiful. But it was ours, and maybe that was enough. The next morning, we went to the first clinic on Sophia's list. We told them we were a couple struggling with fertility, that we needed help conceiving, that time was running out. All of it was technically true. They were kind, professional. They explained the process, the timeline, the chances of success. We signed more papers, always more papers. But these papers were different. These were our choice, our plan, our way out. "It'll take a few weeks to match you with a donor," the doctor said. "Then we can begin the procedure. With any luck, you'll be pregnant within 2 months, 2 months, then 7 more for the pregnancy, 9 months total to pull off the con of the century." I looked at Marcus. He squeezed my hand. "We can do this," he said, and for the first time in days, I believed him. But here's the thing about plans. They only work if nobody knows about them. And as we left the clinic, neither of us noticed the car parked across the street. Neither of us saw the man inside taking photos. Neither of us realized Richard had put surveillance on us the moment we left that warehouse. He knew exactly what we were doing, and he was already planning his response. Because Richard Castellano didn't just want a Harrington heir, he wanted to break Marcus completely, and he'd just found the perfect way to do it. That's where I'm leaving you today. Marcus and Ava finally admitted they love each other. They have a plan. They have hope. But Richard's been watching, learning, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when he does, everything they've built will come crashing down. What do you think Richard will do when he figures out their plan? Will he confront them? Or will he let them think they're winning right up until the moment he destroys them? Drop a comment with where you're watching from and tell me, would you have gone through with Sophia's plan? Or would you have tried to fight Richard another way? Because the choice Marcus and Ava just made will determine not just their future, but whether They survive what's coming next. And what's coming next is worse than anything they've faced so far.